Today's stories include 2K's Bioshock team is recruiting like mad, Nintendo Switch sees sales decline, and the top 10 best-selling games of June. We'll have all this and more because this is Kinda Funny Games Daily. What's up and welcome to Kinda Funny Games Daily for Tuesday, July 9th, 2024. I am your host, Tim Geddes, and I am joined today by somebody that doesn't realize the smoke machines have moved. Blessing at Ayoye.
Why do you move them? Why are they closer to us? I feel like for as much as they malfunction, I don't want them closer to me.
Calm down.
Am I wrong?
Yesterday, it had a lot of problems, but we think we've resolved all that. So everyone can calm down.
Did they both blast there? I didn't see.
They did both blast.
Good.
Yeah,
we got it.
No,
baby.
I believe I fixed them.
We're here, everyone. How are you doing, Bless?
I'm doing way better.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, last week was a battle.
Yeah.
Last week, oh man.
First week of your 30s, not going too well.
First week of my 30s, my first time getting COVID.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, they didn't lie.
Yeah.
Shit is fucking rough.
Yeah.
Well, at least like my first day of COVID was rough. The other days were like, I feel like I was waking up and it was symptom roulette of like, what random thing am I gonna get? What random thing? Like a couple days ago, woke up, everything started smelling weird, and I'm like, oh, I don't like that. And I didn't realize it until Rebecca Valentine sent over a casserole. And I started eating it, and I was like, okay, what's in this casserole?
Well, when you say smelling weird, can you elaborate a little bit?
I describe it as like, it's like a barbecue smell. Like everything smells lightly of like a sweet barbecue smell. And so I started eating this casserole, and I was like, is there barbecue in this? Because there shouldn't be barbecue in this.
Wow,
and then like,
sweet curse.
It wasn't until I was brushing my teeth, and I was like, this toothpaste smells like barbecue.
This is sweet barbecue toothpaste.
Yeah, there's a sweet barbecue to everything.
Could be
dude.
worse. You know what I mean? Sweet barbecue,
True.
a nice smell. I don't know if it was the only smell I had, though. That might be overbearing.
That's the thing
quickly.
is, everything smells like that right now.
Oh, to this moment.
Yeah, to this moment, yeah,
Oh,
everything smells
no,
like,
Wes.
yeah. But it's not, I only like clue into it when I think about it, or when there's something that smells stronger, right?
Yeah.
Like if there's nothing that's like smelly around, then I won't notice it. It's as soon as there's something that it's like, if you pass gas right now, Tim, I'm be like, oh, something smells like barbecue. Like, what is that barbecue smell? What happened?
I love that. We'll have to wait and see if that happens. But this is Kinda Funny Games Daily, where each and every weekday we run you through the nerdy news that you need to know about live on here, YouTube, Twitch, podcast services around the globe. If you love what we do, you can support us with the Kinda Funny membership on Patreon or YouTube to get all of the shows ad-free. Watch us record them live and get a daily exclusive show. For a chance to be part of the show, you can submit your thoughts and opinions as YouTube super chats as we go, just like CJ Splitson did, who said, I got a bit of pushback on Tim's distaste for Astro designs. I agree it's a bit Walgreens-ish, but have you seen those edge covers? PS spots greater than PS sacks. Have you seen these edge covers?
No,
Edge magazine.
I'm not. Did you describe Astro's design as Walgreens-ish?
Mm-hmm.
What does that even mean?
Looks like a Walgreens toy.
Okay.
Yep.
I get it. No, I get what you mean.
Yeah.
It was like in one of those like buckets that's like $5 and under.
100%.
I could see it, yeah.
Yeah. But the edge covers, it's like the different PlayStation crossover Astrobot designs. So there's like the Kratos one, and that's the only one I saw. But
that's cool.
I saw there were others, but I forgot what they were. But pretty cool. And yeah, PS spots being greater than PS sacks. I think I can get down with that.
I'm gonna type in Astrobot.
I also want on the record, I don't love Sackboy's design either.
I'm
but
typing in Astrobot Edge. See
what happens.
This I think this is the magazine you're talking about.
It is the magazine.
I can't find the actual cover, but that doesn't matter because every cover is goddamn fire.
Yeah,
Edge goes hard.
It's insane. This is so like look up here. Hold on.
Oh yeah.
Scrolling a little bit more than I want to hear. There you go. Look
Come
at
on. Come on.
Look, is
Really
that
cool
Hades?
stuff.
Is that what that is?
That is, dude. Hades
That's
too,
so
Kevin.
sick.
One day it's gonna change you, and you will never
I'm
come
scared.
back.
I'm scared
Oh,
of
I
that.
see
I'm
the
scared
Edge
of that.
magazine cover you're looking at.
You send it to me. Select it to me.
Yeah, I got you.
Little Bloodborne.
Little
Hunter Man.
Bloodborne Hunter.
A little housekeeping for you. We are an 11-person business, all about live talk shows, and we like to keep it live all day long. After this Kinda Funny Games Daily, you'll get Gamescast, which will be a sequel to our episode we did last week that was, you think that game is a 10 out of 10? This time it's, you think that game is a 5 out of 10? We're going to be breaking down games that we think are 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1s on the Kinda Funny scale.
My 2 out of 10 might surprise you.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I'm very excited to see what this is. Let me tell you right now, Bless. My 5.
Yeah.
It's going to rock people's
Oh,
worlds.
I can't wait for this.
It is going, people are going to be big mad.
Oh, I cannot
big
wait
mad,
for this.
but Stand by it, everybody. So
By
you'll
me
have to
too.
wait and see. If you're a Kind of Funny member, we're doing Deadpool rewatch in review right after that. It's going to be a slightly earlier time than normal. I think that'll be around noon that we start that, but it's going to be a great one. We got me, Greg, and Nick on it because Andy's still stuck at home, but he will be back eventually. But it's going to be a great time. So check that out if you are a Kind of Funny member. And then the stream after that is Once Human with Mike and Greg. If you're a Kind of Funny member, you can also get today's Greg Way, of course, just like you can each and every day. And if you're a Patreon producer like Carl Jacobs and Delaney Twining, just know that we appreciate you so very, very much. Today, we're brought to you by Shady Rays and A Better Paradise, but we'll tell you about that later.
I saw a tweet yesterday from Snowback Mike with the picture of like the friendship like thing they have between Mike and Andy.
Yeah.
And he just typed in miss you. I saw that and I was like, Mike, I've been gone for longer than Andy. You can miss me too.
Yeah.
I've been gone for like a week and a half.
Oh, he does. He talks about you a lot. Bless. I
No, he
want
does
you to know.
not.
Mike
Howard? No,
Mike's
he does
talking
not.
about everybody. He talks about Andy the most.
That's,
but like,
okay.
yeah, no. He's, Mike, he's coming in here. He's
What's he saying?
just big energy.
When's that jabroni coming back?
Yeah, exactly. That's what it is, you know? But yeah, remember everybody, the Patreon Platinum item right now is amazing. It's thank you, Kevin. Thank you so much. It's an actual
I saw
locket.
this last night. I never felt a feeling of jealousy like this before.
But what are you jealous of?
I don't know.
Are you jealous of the friendship that Mike wishes he had
That's the
with
thing,
Andy?
it's like I don't like, it's not that I want this.
Yeah.
It's the fact that it's like I've been gone longer than that man. There's more people. It takes me back to like when me, Mike, Roger, and our friend Katie were hanging out. We were playing softball, and we were like in Mike's car at the softball game. And Mike's like, "Oh, what would make this better if Andy was here?" And I'm like, Mike, there's more people than Andy. You're surrounded by us right now. Focus on the moment.
Plus, people are allowed to like other people more. He
which
likes
is fair.
Andy more than you.
I understand he likes
You just
Andy.
have to come to terms with that. You know what I mean?
And like, listen, there's nothing wrong with it. And like, I feel like it's a healthy jealousy, right? Because like, I'm not saying that he's wrong. I'm just like, just show me more
about
love.
Andy here.
Just show. Yeah, we all love Andy. Just show me a little bit more love. Andy gets it every day.
Show Bless some love.
I've been
Mike.
gone for so long, Mike.
Come on. Do something.
And it's not
for
like
him.
I've been gone outside of my will.
Yeah.
A virus got to me. Andy just went on vacation.
Let's begin with what is and forever will be the Roper Report. Oh God. Kev walked in here and ran back out. There he goes. Yep, thank you. It's time for some news. We have 6 stories today.
Baker's dozen.
Story number 1, 2K's Bioshock team is recruiting like mad, and that's a direct quote, for the next series entry. This comes from Tom Ivan at VGC. The Bioshock team at 2K studio Cloud Chamber is ramping up as it continues to work on the next entry in the critically acclaimed series. Cloud Chamber is currently recruiting like mad for game developers in 2 amazing locations. The San Francisco Bay Area Nation, the San Francisco Bay Area.
One day we'll get there.
Yeah, exactly. The San Francisco Bay Area, Novato, California location, and Montreal, Quebec, according to its website. The studio has 29 open roles across a range of disciplines.
Disciples.
You know what I mean? It's a whole thing. It's gonna get real religious in the Bay Area nation.
Come on, gotta do some. You know what to do.
Disciplines including animation, art, design, scripting, production, management, and writing. 2K announced in December 2019 that work had begun on a new entry in the Bioshock series, but it's been tight-lipped about the project over the past 4.5 years. Bioshock 4 will take place in a new and fantastical world, according to an old job listing, and it's been claimed that it's set during the 1960s in a fictional Antarctic city called Borealis. What a fun name.
Borealis. We're not seeing this game for a very long time.
A very long time, which
Yeah.
I'm a little surprised by.
The conversation we had in our predictions, I think Greg was the one that was predicting that we would get this before Judas. And now it's like, oh, there's 0% chance that that's happening.
I mean, that's not true, but it's very low chance.
Very low
chance. Yeah. Judas is the type of game that I can't believe people have played already and see already a little bit of, but that throws me off of like, how vague they had to be about it. I'm like, is this so far out or is this imminent?
Yeah, the way they're talking about it gives me it's going to come out in like 2026.
Okay, yeah, because that is a long way.
But the way they're talking, I mean, them recruiting like mad for this thing and having 29 open roles that they're like really like going after, this to me sounds like it's way earlier than we would have thought, especially with them announcing it 4 years ago, which makes me wonder. I really like what I think it's Remedy and also CD Projekt Red that's been very transparent as far as the stages of development they're in with each of their projects, where they will update us on when they've gone from like early development or like pre-development stages into like active development, like similar to how we talk about movies and like, you know, we know when a movie has gone in production, we know when a movie's in post-production and stuff like that. This strikes me as like, oh, you guys are still in like pre-production production on this.
It does very much sound like that. I mean, like they are. I feel like when you start reading between the lines here about what the roles are, a lot of these things do seem like, oh, they're in go mode. Like they're in production mode. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I imagine things are actually happening for the game. But I am a little surprised that, you know, it's 4.5 years since the first kind of announcement of this game in a way that was announced to recruit people. You know, I feel like we use this Bioshock and Cloud Chamber as an example of, oh, they're using the IP to bring talent in.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's I think unfortunate reality of the gaming industry at this point that this is just kind of how big projects can go, and they take a decade to actually pull off, and
which is nuts.
It's nuts, and there's so much that can go wrong with that, and there's so many questions of like, at the end of the day, 10 years from now, 10 years might be a bit much. 5 years from now, is Bioshock going to mean more or less? Does that matter? We'll just kind of feel like a brand new
at this point,
thing.
I think Bioshock is what Bioshock is, right? Until there's the next Bioshock game. I don't think Bioshock can become any less relevant because it's already been, God, when was Infinite? 2013? It's been over a decade. Which
Here's
is
a question
nuts.
I have for you, Bless.
What up?
This is getting a little spicy.
Yeah.
What do you think we see first? This Bioshock project actually getting released, or a Bioshock movie or TV show coming out?
Ooh. Fuck.
Because I feel like the answer's the game, but I do think it's going to be close.
Yeah, right? Like, because right now, reading this, I'm thinking we're probably...
A movie's not announced as far as I know.
No, yeah. But like we're talking about like greenlit to actually becoming a thing. I look at this game and I'm like 4 years still. You know, I think we're still at least 4 years away from this thing. And if that's the case, I think there's a possibility of a TV show. I think a Bioshock adaptation could be really cool if you put it in the right hands and treat it the right way.
There is a Netflix adaptation announced.
No way.
That's what the chat's saying.
Really? Holy shit. Everything. I feel like it's safer at this point to assume that there's an adaptation of something happening than not happening.
That's wild.
Yeah.
That's absolutely wild. Well, hey, I bet we see the movie first then.
See, the thing I wonder with this, because you talk about it's been 4 years since it's 2019 is when 2019 December is when they announced work on this entry has begun. Is this just how long it takes for a Bioshock? Like if we put it into context of what Bioshock is and what Bioshock means to people, and you know how strong conceptually Bioshock is, mixed with like how we associate that with Ken Levine and how Ken Levine's not associated with this thing, right? It reminds me a lot of how we talk about Kojima, even though I think Kojima might be more heavily tied to Metal Gear. It still is tough to think about Metal Gear past Kojima. That is something that's going to need to take a lot of concepting out, a lot of ideation, a lot of figuring out, a lot of like, yo, we cannot fuck this up. We got to take our time with this. Bioshock strikes me as a similar thing of, you know, I think part of me asks, what has been going on these past 4 years? This past 4 years might just have been that ideation and concepting of what does the next Bioshock look like, especially coming off of Infinite, which was divisive in terms of like what they did with it.
What a hit though.
It was a hit, but like I don't think you make another Infinite. I think
they'd rather another Infinite than a Bioshock 2.
I mean,
and I feel like we're at a greater risk of another Bioshock 2 in this situation. I feel like Bioshock Infinite is their goal. Bioshock 1 is the dream for them, like getting that level of like success, I think.
My question is, how much did Bioshock Infinite sell? And then also, how much did it sell compared to first Bioshock? I assume it sold more, but like, I think if you're making another Bioshock, I think you're doing it as hey, we want to make something for the core fan base. Like, obviously want to make something to sell, but we're making something for the people that love Bioshock in hopes that we're able to capture that initial Bioshock hype. And I think Bioshock Infinite definitely has its fans. In fact, I'm one of those fans. I really like Bioshock Infinite. But I think when you talk about Bioshock and when you talk about Bioshock at its core, a lot of people would argue that Infinite lost a lot of that. I think if you're making another one, you want to go back to more of the like immersive sim stealth horror-ness of it, as opposed to like a lot more of the action, like almost like the mainstream versus the mainstreamness of a Bioshock Infinite. Because Bioshock Infinite felt like let's take Bioshock and turn it into something that feels a bit more mainstream and palpable to like the wide audience.
I feel like the Bioshock Infinite divisiveness is an insular thing to like the games media conversations we have about those games. I feel like they're both Bioshock to the mainstream people. I think Bioshock 1, the aesthetic, and because it's the first one and like just the world of Rapture, I think are the more iconic things. But I think in terms of the actual game, like looking at some of these sales numbers, and it's hard to see the actual breakdown, but just the one thing I'm looking at here that must be out of date. But Bioshock 1 at 4 million plus, Bioshock 2, 3 million plus, Bioshock Infinite, 11 million plus. So we're talking about a different range of sales.
Yeah.
And of course, sales aren't everything, but it's not like Bioshock Infinite got bad reviews.
My question then becomes, when we say another Bioshock Infinite, I guess when we're talking about what does the next Bioshock look like, what are we then talking about really when it comes to like Infinite versus Bioshock 1?
I think that it needs like, I think Bioshock, the return of Bioshock at this point without Ken Levine, like all the factors we just talked about, I think that it is one of those franchises, if it's going to be this long of a development cycle and they're putting so much into it, I think it needs to be a hit. And what that means is a multi-million seller. I think that to expect it to cross Infinite numbers might be too much, but it needs to totally crush Bioshock 1 if we're talking about the 4 million there, right? And I feel like it needs to give a new identity to the Bioshock franchise. That identity, I think, can be very similar to the vibe and tone of the first game, but I think that it needs to come through and be able to be a definitive thing that it stands and people as fans of Bioshock talk about in league with Bioshock and Bioshock Infinite. And it can't just be like, oh, that was a video game.
Yeah.
Like, I think Bioshock at this point,
it has to be something special.
It has to be something special because it's all the factors we've been talking about, but also the amount of dev time and teams that they're putting towards this thing. Like, Bioshock is an important gaming franchise, and I feel like right now they're not really doing anything with it. They need to put out their best foot forward, or else it'll turn into a Perfect Dark situation.
Yeah, I think too, the Bioshock 2 thing is interesting, right? Because I think
Sorry, real quick. Let me just say this just before people rip into me. I mean, Perfect Dark, we don't know about this new one. I'm talking about up till now. Perfect Dark could have been a franchise that was hitting for the last 2 decades.
It's not been active.
And it wasn't because they made some bad decisions and Perfect Dark Zero was bad. This Bioshock cannot be a Perfect Dark Zero. That's the point I'm making.
Yeah.
I have faith in the new one.
So I never played Bioshock 2. And so it's like, it's hard for me to make that like comparison as far as like, how do you avoid a Bioshock 2 if you want to avoid a Bioshock 2. I know there's a group of people that
for sure
really love Bioshock 2. I would think that for the next Bioshock, I think you I guess this is me kind of going back on my word a little bit, but I think you do a bit of what you did with Infinite, which is you find a new setting. I think the Borealis thing sounds interesting, right? Like like an Antarctica based, like a fictional Antarctic city could be cool, but I think you need to make a step like that, right? New setting, new story, new characters. There's always a tower or whatever the thing, right? Like keep those same concepts. I think in gameplay, I think that's where you go, let's maybe not make another straight up like action heavy first person shooter, because I think that was probably one of the main complaints people had with Infinite versus the previous Bioshocks, is that Infinite just felt way more
shooty shoot versus immersive semi adjacent.
And I think that's the thing that I look at Judas and I'm like, oh, this sounds really fascinating, is the fact that they're going for more of like almost like a roguelite Hades style thing, where it is driven by like who you side with, and it's driven by like these upgrade systems that are based on these characters that you're meeting in the world. I'm not saying that you have to go back to like even immersive sim, but I think you need to find a gameplay concept that is just way more interesting than Bioshock Infinite. And I think you take that, you put it in a new setting, you find a really, really fascinating story to go with it. And then I think that is what Bioshock is, right? I think that is how you kind of create a new identity without being pigeonholed by what's come in the past. But that is like a big ask, right? Hey, make something completely new that satisfies the fans of the old thing.
Yeah, I feel like there could be a balance too. I think that Bioshock Infinite being more action focused and that causing the divide that it did, to whatever extent that it did, I feel was a place and time as well of how many shooters were out then and how first person or single player shooter campaigns were made.
Yeah.
Whether it's like the more traditional Call of Duty stuff or something like a Bioshock Infinite that is a much bigger story based type experience. There just aren't that many of those anymore. So I feel like nowadays what a new Bioshock could be, I think it could be more actiony than the first one, less actiony than Infinite. Like I feel like it kind of has the flexibility to do something that is not wholly new, but is the right elements of what they've done in the past, and it's going to feel fresh because we're just in a different place with games now that we're not getting those type of things as often. Like that, it would be a novelty at this point to get something like that because we're so used to what a Call of Duty campaign now means versus what it used to mean. You know what I'm saying?
I feel that. I feel that exactly. And I think a question for you, that's just a fun thought experiment. What do you have the most faith in currently between the next Perfect Dark, the next Bioshock, and Judas? Like, if you had to order them.
Yeah, man. That's really rough, honestly. Because, like, I personally, all three I am hopeful for. I think I have the least faith in Bioshock. Judas, I think, is a 50-50. And it's like, I think it's a creative experiment that's either going to work or not work. And I don't think it's going to be like, oh, people are split on it. I think it's going to, from the jump, people are going to be like, this is amazing, or like, ooh, this ain't it.
Yeah.
There'll always be some group of people that like rock for it, but like in terms of general consensus. And then Perfect Dark, I guess, is the one that I have most faith in.
It's hard because we've seen the most of Perfect Dark.
And yeah, that's
now.
the thing too. We've seen it, and so far it looks good. Doesn't look the most interesting to me personally, but it looks interesting to a lot of other people, and I can see it. I can see it working. So yeah, I'd probably put Perfect Dark first.
Yeah, Judas, I am so sold on the idea of it. When I listened to, I think it was Friends Per Second that like did the breakdown, and then also I think Ryan McCaffrey and Jeff Keighley did their breakdowns as well. I'm like, this sounds like a really good idea. Like, this sounds different. It sounds fresh. It will come down to the execution. Does the game feel good to play? Is the story good? Right? Like, do I like these characters? I think that is where a lot of that's going to come down on. But I think I'm most sold on Judas, and then yeah, it's Perfect Dark. Just because based on what we've seen, I'm like, this looks like a really good game.
The thing about Perfect Dark 2 is the people we know that are working on it, I have faith in them. Even though, like, oh, Crystal Dynamics, like, there's been issues, whatever. It's like, but also Crystal Dynamics has made bangers, like, with character-driven things. So, like, I'm excited.
Do you think we can get a reveal from Bioshock that puts it at the top of that list?
That's tough to say because I feel like the reveal for Bioshock is going to be a trailer that just is a world tone thing. Like, I don't expect we'll get a reveal for Bioshock that also shows the game. And I think that until we actually see the game and like what the gameplay looked like and are able to judge the balance of action versus exploration and just kind of like,
like what is this game?
What the game is, we won't really be able to say that. But I do think Bioshock is in a unique place that the tone trailer that they'll put out is going to be very exciting. And I think that is going to be a big moment for them that I do think could, if none of these games are out by then, put it above Judas for me. But
see, that's what I'm excited to see is, you know, the reason why I ask is that, going back to what you mentioned earlier about Bioshock and there not being a Bioshock in a while and like how much does the Bioshock name even mean nowadays versus like what will it mean in the future. I do foresee like a Bioshock reveal trailer that like reminds everybody like, oh yeah, this is who the fuck we are. Like, this is Bioshock. And like Bioshock has a large fan base, right? Now as of now, right? Like, it obviously has a larger fan base than a Judas because, you know, Judas hasn't had anything come out. I would say that it has a bigger fan base than a Perfect Dark.
Oh, a million times over.
Like Bioshock in terms of IP name is the biggest out of those three.
Bioshock is an IP that has sold merch and Hot Topic for a decade.
Yeah.
Like, that's the type of brand in video games that Bioshock is.
So I do wonder how much that carries that, along if they have a good, hey, this is what the reveal is. I wonder how much that does put it at the front of everybody's mind as far as like, oh no, this is the thing to be excited for. Granted, like, I think by the time we get there, these other games might be out, man.
Yeah. Whew, really interesting stuff. We'll get to story number 2. We're going to talk about a whole bunch of sales news, but we're going to do that right after a word from our sponsors. This episode is brought to you by Shady Rays. Get ready for the season ahead with quality shades built to last. Our friends over at Shady Rays have you covered with premium, polarized shades that won't break the bank. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company that offers an unrivaled product that's just as good as any expensive pair that I've ever worn. Durable frames and world-class optics for all outdoor adventures. With an extensive array of styles and colors, you're bound to find the perfect pair of Shady Rays sunglasses. Y'all know I've been outside in the sun a lot playing Pokemon Go. GoFest is next week, and I'm going to be wearing my Shady Rays. Every pair of sunglasses is backed by lost or broken replacements. If you lose or break your pair, even on day one, they told us they will send you a brand new pair. No questions asked. But exclusively for y'all, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal. You can head to shadyrays.com and use code KINDAFUNNY for 50% off 2 or more pairs of shades. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. shadyrays.com, use code KINDAFUNNY for 50% off 2 or more pairs of shades.
This episode is brought to you by A Better Paradise. From the writers of the Red Dead Redemption and Grand Theft Auto series comes the new immersive audio fiction podcast, A Better Paradise, Volume 1 and Aftermath. Set in the near future, A Better Paradise tells the story of the ill-fated development of an ambitious but addictive digital game world project led by inventor and psychologist Dr. Mark Tyburn. As the advanced software they developed began to deliver unexpected and disturbing results, the team fell apart under strange circumstances and the project was abandoned. The game world and the super intelligence within were discarded, left dormant and undiscovered. Until now. I listened to episode 1 on my way to work today, and the thing that stood out, of course, are the performances, but then as an audio drama fan, it was the use of monologues. There's a whole bunch of talking here that sets up the world that is not that far from us in the timeline and also not that far from us in the technology, which is disturbing, but I'm quite interested to see where it goes. A Better Paradise is out now and available everywhere you get your podcasts. Go listen today, and don't forget to follow A Better Paradise on your platform of choice to make sure you never miss an episode.
And we're back with story number 2. Nintendo Switch drops the hardest as all consoles decline by double digits compared to 2023. This comes from Taylor Lyles at IGN. As rumors of a Switch successor and mid-generation hardware refreshes for PS5 and Xbox Series X and S continue, spending for all 3 consoles has dropped by double digits compared to 2023. In Circana's May 2024 U.S. video game market highlights, the analytics company reported that video game hardware spending is down 40% compared to 2023. Microsoft, Nintendo, and Sony have all shown double-digit percentage declines, with the Nintendo Switch seeing the most significant drop. In a post on Twitter, Circana's executive director and video game industry advisor, Matt Piscatella, the homie, wrote that the hardware spending decline between 23 and 24 can partially be attributed to the release of The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, which was released exclusively on the Nintendo Switch on May 12, 2023. Shout out to Tears of the Kingdom, coming through and fucking crushing it.
Come on, man.
Come on, man. It's funny because there's a little tease for the Gamescast after this, but I missed last week's episode when you guys did your top 10 through 5, and your what is a 10 out of 10 video game was Tears of the Kingdom.
Yep. Yeah.
And I was trying so hard to not have the same answers as anyone else when I was coming up with my list, and I was like, I gotta be honest. When you ask me what a 10 out of 10 video game is,
come on,
it's Tears of the Kingdom.
It's Tears of the Kingdom.
It just pops into my mind so quickly. And like, Mario 3 pops in right behind it. But I feel like Tears of the Kingdom, for as recent as it was and how mind-blowing, like thinking about the shrines and just the physics puzzles of it all, it's like,
dude, I mean, imagine putting out a game so good that it messes up your company's financials a bit.
Yeah.
There's like, oh man, sorry, y'all are fucked next year.
Yeah.
In terms of Switch sales, my bad.
Circana's report comes amid rumors that all 3 home console makers are gearing up to release new hardware, with Microsoft already announcing updated versions of the Series X and S. Numerous leaks have also suggested that Sony's planning to release a Pro variant of the PS5 at some point later this year. Nintendo, for its part, is expected to release a next-generation successor to the Nintendo Switch sometime in 2025.
I mean, interesting stuff, but also, I think, expected, at the very least expected on the Nintendo side, right? It's compared to last year, especially with Tears of the Kingdom, it's a little bit down. And then also there's an expectation of we're going to see that new console. I've had friends ask me who aren't like as in the know of video games, who are like, hey, should I get a PlayStation or should I get a console or whatever, right? And like, it's the weird thing where I'm like, okay, well, for PlayStation, imagine there's going to be a Pro or something that you can get soon. Like maybe if you want to hold off on that. Switch, I mean, you're going to get a Switch 2 next year, right? Like we're in I think just an odd place when it comes to console stuff. I'm curious, like for you, I think the Switch stuff is obvious. On the Xbox and PlayStation side, are you surprised to see
No, because just think about it. Like, what actually sells hardware? And what we've seen this over and over again. It's exclusive titles. It's the big games, right? Or it's the third-party games like Call of Duty or Assassin's Creed, the more mainstream type of games that are semi-annualized or annualized. And where is the player base? I feel like that's another thing that kind of sells consoles of, one generation it was 360, this generation it's PS4, PS5, you know what I mean? Like where the people are, I feel like kind of will help set the tone and stage for that console to sell for those games. But it is the heavy hitters. It's Sony Spider-Man 2 and God of War Ragnarok, and with Nintendo, things like Tears of the Kingdom. It's lesser things like a Gravity Rush or a Peach's Showtime and things like that. Those help. Those like add up. I'm not even naming any Xbox games because they have a different strategy. And I think that shows in decreasing hardware sales across the board when you put out there that your strategy is not really to sell hardware.
Yeah. I mean, what was it today or yesterday that Xbox Cloud Gaming became available through Fire Sticks?
And I'm like, that's amazing. Xbox is trying to tap into a completely different market.
I think the market, like the slogan or the advertising for Fire Stick is that you can play Xbox without an Xbox console or something. It's something along those lines. Yeah. It's like that is part of the rollout, right? Like that's part of the marketing for Xbox is that you don't need a console. Yeah,
and I think to all the people I see in the chat, there's a debate on like whether or not exclusives sell consoles. The fact of the matter is, you look at the attach rate of the games I'm talking about, and it's incredibly high.
Oh, like, yeah.
Yes, that is like they might not have bought it with that game, but then they're gonna buy that game for the system. It's a long-term thing. It's not literally just the moment of purchase type situation. And PlayStation and Nintendo both have incredible records when it comes to their first-party studios with their big projects having attach rates that are astronomical sales hitters, right? So I feel like that goes to why is there a drop like this? Well, last year didn't have Spider-Man 2, didn't have God of War Ragnarok.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and I don't even think the exclusive sells consoles thing is even like a debate, right? Like I feel like that's the entire strategy this whole thing's been built off of. Granted, like good exclusives or like banger exclusives sell consoles. You look at the Nintendo Switch and it's like if the Switch didn't have exclusives, is anybody buying a fucking Switch? No, right? Like if a PlayStation if the PS4 didn't have strong exclusives, would the PS4 would it have sold as much? No, right? Like that drives things. And yeah, I think this year being an interesting year as far as like what first party game releases look like, it's fascinating. Like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth came out in February, and I wonder, did that do what PlayStation wanted a Final Fantasy VII Rebirth to do, right? Yeah. Like it seems like software wise it might not have done what Square Enix wanted it to do. Like how does that translate when you look at something like Stellar Blade or something? And we're going to get into software in a second, but Stellar Blade, Rise of the Ronin, Helldivers 2, are these doing what PlayStation wants them to do, right? Helldivers 2 is a completely different conversation because of the kind of game it is, but that factors in as far as, like, is this hardware year what PlayStation has projected it to be? Will it be by the time we get to the end of the financial year? What's Astrobot going to do when we get there?
I mean, look, I think that you're making a lot of really solid points here, and I think it's important to note that the sole goal is not selling hardware. Like, once the hardware is out there, the goal is then selling the software because that's where you make the most money. So there is a balance of what you want the install base to be. And of course, the answer is always more, but there is a number as well of if you don't have enough software to be able to even support that, then the answer shouldn't be more. The answer should be you get the install base where it needs to be, and then you get the software out there, the type of software that can make money in different ways. And I think Helldivers 2, perfect example of that. You might not have bought a PS5 for Helldivers 2, you bought it for God of War, but now you have it, and now you're playing Helldivers 2, and you're investing, and you're spending money on that thing. Yep. And then when Astro comes out, you're like, you know what? I'm going to buy this because I have this, and they're marketing it to me the right way. Like, that is what kind of makes the money for the company in the smartest way from like multiple verticals. And also that's going to result in an ebb and flow of hardware sales, but that's not just a decline doesn't necessarily mean bad news.
Yeah. I think it only does when it is, oh man, the hardware sellers came out this year and they didn't sell the hardware. And like, I think this year, the only like hardware selling on the PlayStation side, at least, right? Hardware selling game would probably be Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. And like, that's even a third party thing. So I don't even know how much what does that factor into PlayStation versus like a Spider-Man 2, right? Like, you know, I'm sure that is an entirely different conversation, but yeah, like there's that one on the Xbox side, and Xbox is playing a different game, so it's even hard to think about it in the context of a hardware seller. On the Nintendo side, right, it is, all right, cool, like how many hardware units are we going to sell? For instance, Peach, not many. Paper Mario, maybe a few, right? Like it's not like there's a Pokemon slated for this year. I'm sure the Zelda Echoes of Wisdom might sell some Switch units here and there, but I think we're in that place. That's what we talk about when we talk about the Four Horsemen, right?
Yep.
These are games that are coming out to sell copies and satiate the audience, but like I don't know if, and maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know if Nintendo has a game this year that is this is gonna sell units of the Switch.
This year, no, not necessarily. But what I do think is always a potential with Nintendo, and almost a guarantee, is they're going to release a new colorway.
Oh, for sure.
That is, I mean, there must be a Zelda one, right? Like they're going to do that. They're like they have so many options now of having the OLED, the Switch, and then the Switch Lite, and they all sell great. And I feel like the Switch is the type of console that even if another one's coming, people are popping out kids left and right. So,
Yeah, we got to get another one.
The little sisters need a console too.
Yeah.
So
Let me
get
tell
them
you,
a Switch Lite.
I went to my sister's place with the sister with the kids who I gifted my Nintendo Switch. Went there for Christmas, and man, the Switch that I gave them, that like what they've had for maybe like a year or so. When I tell you that thing was all banged up, and I'm like, oh man, you guys are gonna need another one of those soon. Like, there's the hybrid console thing was maybe Nintendo's most brilliant idea because like. These are consoles that are geared towards the family, right? All ages. So many kids are going to have them. So many kids are going to break these motherfucking things, and they're going to need more. And also, some people out there might lose theirs on a plane.
Yeah,
and have to buy another one.
I mean, well, honestly, I remember seeing some stat a couple years back that was like talking about the DS owners and the percentage of DS owners that owned more than one DS system in its life cycle, and it's like it was a big number. And I feel like that is probably true with the Switch as well.
Yeah, I've owned
the handheld
3?
nature.
Yeah, I think I've owned 3, like one like OG Switch and then 2 OLED.
Yeah, I mean, and shit happens, right?
Yeah.
But like shit happens, that increases hardware sales. So yeah, it's so fascinating about you bringing up the Nintendo doing the hybrid thing of like how brilliant that was at the time they did it, and it just worked and it just hit in a time when we were coming off of will there be more consoles ever again? And
Yeah.
is mobile games taking over?
Is
and like,
handheld done?
And then boom, they just came up with like this answer that now almost feels antiquated. But I mean, we're also coming up on a decade of that existing. But it's crazy to look back to the Wii coming out and Nintendo changing its strategy of like, we're not competing with the big dogs. We're just gonna make games and we're gonna be accessible to everyone in Wii Sports and all that shit. And then they had Mario Kart Wii and it sold as well as it did. And all of a sudden, casual gamers around the world understood Mario Kart in a way that they never understood a video game in ever.
There's a big conversation to be just had about Nintendo, period. Like, especially in regards to their strategy and how everything is lined up so perfectly to where you look, we talk all the time about the budgets of PlayStation games, the budgets of Xbox games, and like, is this unsustainable? How come, like, is this gonna all topple over? And you look at Nintendo's out here busting out Princess Peach Showtime, and it's gonna sell just fine. And they made it with pennies, so like I'm pretty sure.
But that is absolutely crazy. You know, we've talked a lot about their strategy of like holding games or having things ready, and like just how wild it is to be in this world. And I really think that even looking at their biggest failure besides the Virtual Boy, the Wii U, and it's like you get all points to that. Look at those sales numbers of like, man, that was bad. That was real bad. But the games were fucking bangers. They were so good. There were some that were, but like overall, the Wii U library were so good, and we all now know that because they were all put to the Switch and they all got 8s, 9s, and 10s, you know, and sold millions and millions and millions of copies. And it's like, so what was the problem there? Oh, Nintendo made some bad calls. They didn't make every call perfectly. Everyone thought the Wii U was an attachment, a peripheral for the Wii. And at that point, however many years into the Wii's life cycle, all the casuals were like, hey, we're kind of over this.
Yeah, everybody was done with it.
We out. And so there's a lot of reasons there, but they learned and they adapted, and here we are now. So it's very interesting, and I cannot wait to continue this conversation into next year when we actually see what their launch lineup for the Switch 2 is, because if they can replicate what they did with 2017 of having a Breath of the Wild and a Mario Odyssey and a Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, we already know Pokemon Za is coming next year.
Pokemon Za is coming.
Like, that's pretty nuts, man. Like, exciting times to be a Nintendo fan.
When are we going to do our Switch 2 predictions?
I don't know. I mean,
we just got to have general Switch 2 predictions.
We could do them at any time because, like, I feel like we're still thinking October being the release date, right? So we got a couple months before. Announced. The announced trailer, I imagine.
Yeah.
But yeah, we should get some things on paper.
For sure, because
Yeah.
I just want to write down my entire launch
We got to
lineup.
map out.
I got a launch year in my head.
Yes, that's what we got to
this
map
thing is.
out, the launch year. But story number 3 here, we have U.S. monthly game sales numbers as well. This comes from Vicky Blake at gamesindustry.biz. Ghost of Tsushima has taken the top spot in Circana's U.S. charts for May. Sucker Punch's 2020 action-adventure game jumped 70 places from its rank of 71 last month after the Sony console exclusive debuted on Steam in May. It generated a slightly higher consumer spending total across physical and digital game sales than the runner-up Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door, as Nintendo does not share its digital data. Oh my God. Just gonna continue with what we're saying.
Yeah.
Oh man, Paper Mario: Thousand Year Door, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, Helldivers 2. Shout out to Helldivers 2.
Shout out.
Still crushing it. And MLB The Show 24 round out the top 5. According to Circana's player engagement tracker, X Defiant debuted at number 5 in May in terms of monthly active users on PS5 and ranked 6th on Xbox Series. Fortnite led both platforms in monthly active users during the month, while Helldivers 2 secured the top spot on Steam. Shout out to Helldivers 2. Last month's top-selling game, Stellar Blade, dropped to 10th position. The projected total U.S. spend on video game hardware, content, and accessories declined 6% in May 2024, year over year, falling to just $4 billion.
Yuck.
Similarly, May 2024 content spending fell 3% too, as according to Matt Piscatella, 13% growth in mobile content spending could not offset a 40% drop on console. The top 10 for May look like this. Number 1, Ghost. Number 2, Paper Mario.
And like that is without digital.
It's without digital.
So that's number 1.
It's number 1.
Yeah.
Right. But hey, that's amazing for an amazing video game. If you haven't played Thousand Year Door, now is your chance. It's awesome. And I'd love to see the 4 Horsemen still crushing it.
They're still crushing it, dude.
Number 3, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3. Number 4, Helldivers 2. 5, MLB The Show. 6, Sea of Thieves, which again
came out on PlayStation.
We're seeing the strategy work. You put these games that people want in other places, and they're making top 10 sales numbers.
And not to that same thing with MLB The Show, right? Where like that's a PlayStation game, comes out every year on multiple consoles. I'm sure the PlayStation's fucking like dismay or whatever, but it happened, and guess what? Number 5.
Yep. Minecraft at number 7, Elden Ring at number 8, Hogwarts Legacy at number 9, and then Stellar Blade at number 10.
Another thing I'll throw out here, right? Those are the U.S. Game sales for May. GamesIndustry.biz also has the UK monthly charts, I believe, for June here. And their headline is that Elden Ring sales, this must be for June. Elden Ring sales jumped 467% on Shadow of the Erdtree release, which is like, come on, dude.
Yeah.
That's an insane number. But then, they go on.
It's an insane number when you think of the numbers we just got of Elden Ring sales like a month ago, right?
Yeah.
Like crossing 25 million. Like,
so like I can't wait to see what do the updated Elden Ring sales look like in the next few months, right? Of the overall skew. But then you talk about the top 10 June 2024 top 10 games and this is just UK. You got EA Sports FC, of course, because they're British. And then GTA 5 at number 2, F1 24 number 3, Elden Ring at number 4, Hogwarts Legacy at number 5, Sid Meier's Civ 6 at 6, Red Dead Redemption 2 at 7, Modern Warfare 3 at 8, GTA Online at 9, and then Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege at 10. Video games, man. Story number 4.
Pokemon Sleep's tracking app. Pokemon Sleep tracking app has generated $100 million in a year. This comes from Andy Robinson at VGC. Pokemon Sleep tracking app, Pokemon Sleep, has reportedly cleared $100 million in revenue 1 week before its anniversary. According to App Magic data published by Pocket Gamer, Pokemon Sleep's revenue came predominantly from Japanese users who spent $73 million since its July 17, 2023 launch. U.S. users contributed another $15 million ahead of Taiwan's $4 million, according to the data. In terms of downloads, Sleep's reached 9.8 million users. It's claimed 44% of whom are based in Japan, 17 in the U.S., and 7 in Taiwan.
Jesus.
I played for a week, and I put it down. I didn't like it. Not my type of game.
You like Sleep?
The hook wasn't there. I like the Sleep. I don't like what they made me do around Sleep. You know what I mean?
What did they make you do?
They made me just terrible things.
God.
Even just like the type of clicking around and stuff, I was just like, I'm not engaged by this at all. Like the elements of this aren't speaking to me, unlike a Pokemon Go, of course. I don't know if you saw, everybody. I did hit level 48 yesterday. I am well on my road to level 50. Somebody tweeted at me yesterday. So what happened was, Blessed, one of the, now that I'm at level 48, getting close to that 50.
Yeah.
2 more levels of challenges that I have to do. And this is like game time. These challenges, they're going to take a long time. All right. One of them is get 35 platinum medals. It essentially just means get 35 major trophies. And these are kind of hard to get. I have 27 of them so far, so I'm cruising. One of them is refer 50 people to play the game. So I tweeted out yesterday, and the best friend showed up, and I appreciate you very, very much. I got another one. I'm at now at 28. 28 out of 35. We're feeling good. But what I feel the best about is that somebody tweeted me, they're like, I'm getting on this. I'm signing up. I'm getting you your number. Tim has to finish his story. And that's what this is all about. I got to finish the story and get to level 50 so I can wear my bomber jacket. It looks real nice.
I'm rooting for you.
It looks like this, actually, but with like Pokemon patches.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Pretty dumb.
Dang.
Yeah.
So how estimated how long do you think you have?
I think it's going to be another year.
Really?
I think it's going to be a year.
God damn.
There is a lot of things to do.
Uh-huh.
A lot of experience needed, but we're going to do it.
Is this like a Thanos situation where you're going to get there, be able to put on the bomber jacket, and you're going to retire on your farm?
You know, I think it's going to be more of like a MCU situation where Endgame happens, but then I like keep going.
You just keep going. You just keep playing. You're like,
you know what I mean?
I got nothing to live for, but I'm still here.
Sky So Fly in the chat says they were the one that said finish the story. I appreciate that. You're awesome. And I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it for you. I'm gonna do it for all of you, and I will be celebrated as a god.
You gotta throw another event. Like you gotta throw like the what Tim and Gia like whole
Getty's
situation.
live on stage?
Yeah, Getty's live on stage, but just for putting on the bomber jacket.
Yeah. I honestly I want to hit up Niantic. I want to go hard. We have to figure this out.
Oh man,
I
let's
will
go.
be celebrated. Story number 5. Bandai Namco and Nike are teaming up for. Do you have anything more to say about Pokemon Sleep?
I was gonna ask, can Pokemon ever run out of ideas?
Remember when they announced it, Wes?
I remember so
when
vividly.
we watched that presentation and we're like, shut the fuck up.
I remember watching that entire thing. I think I watched it from home because it was 2019, so I wasn't working here yet. But I watched your live reaction with like Andy, I'm pretty sure, and just crying, laughing at how funny that entire presentation was. And them talking about Pokemon Sleep and being like, we've flown too close to the sun.
Yep.
And like fast forward now and it's successful. 10 million players, 100 million in revenue.
There's something very uncomfortable about the Pokemon Sleep trailers and footage.
It's the tentacles.
Bulbasaur's little vines, just tenderly, and also just I don't know.
But like genuinely, is like, can Pokemon ever run out?
I don't know. I mean, they keep making new ones, and those new ones can then do different things. And then the new ones can do the same things that the old ones did, but in a new way.
Because I feel like every year there's a new Pokemon thing, and I'm always like, oh, didn't know you could do that.
They monetize Sleep.
They monetized
crazy.
Go and turned it into the most
teeth brushing.
Oh yeah, they did do the Pokemon brushing stuff. They Pokemon went, Pokemon brushed, Pokemon sleeped.
Yeah.
Pokemon
got you to the polls.
Got me to the polls. They have a MOBA.
Yeah.
They had a fighting game.
Yeah.
And out of all those things, if you were like, which one of these is going to be the most successful, I would have been like, oh, of course it's going to be the Pokemon fighting game. Somehow it's dead last on that list.
I love that. Also, how wild is it that they just fucking stuck with it? Like, what are they going to call this thing? Pokin.
And we're going to make a second
they're not
one.
going to keep that, right? Yeah, they are. What were they thinking?
Another topic to put on the board for one of these games casts is all right, let's pitch 5 more Pokemon projects each of us and see which ones come to fruition.
Yeah,
it's
that's actually very funny.
At this point, if you pitch 10 Pokemon projects, 5 of them are going to happen in the next 5 years.
Mm-hmm. God bless you. Keep doing your thing, Pokemon. Story number 5. Speaking of Tekken, Bandai Namco and Nike are teaming up for some Tekken sneakers. This comes from Andy Robinson of VGC. As reported by Soul Retriever, 2 pairs of Tekken 8 Cross Nike Air Foamposite One Fist sneakers will be released in September 2024 through Nike sneakers and select retailers. The sneakers are part of Tekken's 30th anniversary celebrations and features 2 designs based on Kazuya and Jin. The Tekken Nike Air Foamposites will come in men's sizes priced at $250. Bless, you're a big Tekken guy.
Yep.
This gets you going at all?
No, I hate these shoes.
Oh, really?
I mean, you're more of a Nike person.
Yeah.
What do you think of these shoes?
I'm more of a Jordan person. I don't really get into the Foamposite world too much. I actually think these look surprisingly cool for this style of shoe being a crossover with a brand.
Yeah.
Because that's always rolling the dice. But yeah, these aren't high on my list of must-wears.
Something, I guess I just don't. Yeah, I don't like the colors. I don't like the visual design. Weirdly enough, from the top they look cool.
Yeah.
But I think that's just because when you look at the coloring of here. They match the Tekken 8 aesthetic so well, especially when you look at the box and how and that's kind of where how the main menu looks a little bit with Jin and Kazuya there. That color scheme I think looks really cool from the top, but then you look at the sides and the foam stuff and the design just doesn't sit well with me. But here's the thing: I'm such a Tekken fan, and I need to upgrade my shoe game so much that maybe I'll pick them up. I don't know. Maybe I'd wear them. I wouldn't spend the money on them. I'm sorry.
No, I get it.
I'm
I
sorry.
get it. Yeah, no, these not for me. Happy they're making things like this. Always love a big deal Nike video game collaboration. So
yeah,
keep going, baby.
Keep doing them.
And I hope that that it hits big. I don't got a good one for you, Bless.
Yeah, I saw you cooking.
I was trying to get there, and I was just like, I could do some shit, but it
wasn't that bad.
Nike's a really big company.
Nike is a big company. I want them to keep working with a big company like them, not a small company. But if I wanted some small news, Bless, where would I look?
You'd go to our last story, the Wii News channel, where we cover all the small news items you need to know about.
Wii News, everyone. Ponkle announced today that Vampire Survivors is coming to Apple Arcade. It includes the main game, 2 DLCs, no in-game ads, and is coming on August 1st. So now,
sick.
Vampire Survivors. Anywhere you go on your mobile phone.
Oh, man. I'm sure people are going to have a healthy relationship with that.
Yep. Yeah, good for them. That's awesome.
That's amazing.
Switch Online members can play Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope free this week via a game trial. Deathbound launches on August 8th on Xbox Series, PS5, and PC.
And then this last link I added not that long ago. Overwatch tweeted out, the fight for Cybertron is coming to a future Earth near you. I'm sure people have I'm sure you've seen some of the Transformers
Did
stuff.
you watch the trailer? Because we did yesterday.
Oh, did you?
Dude.
Maybe is that what this is?
No.
Kevin, if you can pull up the link in the doc here. This is what Overwatch tweeted.
Okay, so we're actually getting some of the gameplay here and seeing what's going on.
Yeah, we're seeing the different characters is different. So this is Reinhardt, I believe, is Optimus Prime here.
Kev, can you go to YouTube real quick? I just want Bless to see for a second.
Yeah. You don't want to see the actual skins? Oh my god.
Yeah, so this is the Optimus Prime skin.
This is fantastic. I'm very happy with this.
Yeah.
And then they also show Bastion as Bumblebee, Alari as RC. Oh, I see it because remote control. And then Ramatra as Megatron.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool. I learned about Ramatra yesterday.
Well, I learned about them as well because Megatron looks fucking awesome as whoever they are. But yeah, Kev, can you try to find the anime trailer?
Yeah.
Because, Bless, this trailer was insane. They went all out. And speaking of insane trailers, have you seen the Shadow the Hedgehog anime short they
I've
put
actually
out?
not gotten the chance to actually watch it through.
It's fucking incredible.
Is it? Oh,
dude.
I gotta watch that shit. I saw
They're
people
going
hyping it up.
all out, man.
People were in my mentions hyping it up. I didn't get the chance to actually watch it.
It's kind of a retelling of the opening of Sonic Adventure 2, and it's just they know what they're doing with Sonic Generations.
Come on.
The Sonic team, and I don't mean Sonic team, I just mean the team that works on Sonic.
Yeah.
So freaking.
Is that not Sonic team?
Right now. Well, they make the Sonic PR team, the Sonic marketing team.
Okay, fair enough.
Doing the symphonies and doing all that stuff. They got it on lock right now. We're in a great place as Sonic fans. Just skip forward, Kev. Let's get some of these fights going on. What is going on, dude?
This is awesome.
It's really freaking cool, dude.
Oh, okay. This is Overwatch.
Yeah,
and they're the characters too.
For a second, I was like, this looks just like Transformers.
So sick, dude.
This is pretty cool. I was playing Overwatch 2 last night for the first time in a very long time. I was last night just scrolling through Instagram stories. My friend Sarah had posted just a screenshot of her and her friends, and I saw one open space, and I texted Sarah the eyes. Just listen, you playing some Overwatch? Because I'll hop into some Overwatch. I did. I booted up the game. I was surprised that there was no update. And I played a match, hopped out of the match, and then the thing was you can play the PS5 version. I'm like, I'm playing the PS4 version. Turns out I've had the PS4 disc of Overwatch 1 in my PS5 for legitimately years.
That's hilarious.
It's not I didn't need to update it. I just was naturally playing the PS4 version, and I assume it's been just updating automatically this entire time. But yeah. Overwatch 2.
So was that only happening because you had the disc in?
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
That's very funny.
And it's bizarre too, because why does the Overwatch 1 disc boot up Overwatch 2? Isn't that game free to play? Like, shouldn't it? I don't understand how any of this works.
Huh.
It was just very interesting.
What a reveal.
Yeah.
What a reveal.
But also pretty fun. Pretty fun to go back to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Transformers gonna get you in?
No. Well, I think my friend Star is gonna get me in, and through that, I might mess around with them skins.
Keep me updated. That's it for Wii News. It's time to get into a little super chats that y'all have been sending in. Thank you so much for that. Abadia says, lunch is over and there's no way I'm going back willing and living.
What? What does that mean?
I don't know what
lunch
that
is
means.
over and there's no way.
Bro doesn't want to go back to work. I get it.
I
Walk away, dude. Just walk away.
Honestly, I get that too. Like,
Yeah.
you ever eat lunch and it's like, why am I expected to do anything now?
I should be able to rest now.
Yeah, I'm not talking about at this job, but like at previous jobs, I would eat lunch and it's like, I feel like there's this common understanding when you work at like an office desk job that like you only work for maybe 2 out of the 8 hours. For the rest of the 6 hours, you're just staring at your computer pretending to work.
I love it.
Like, for anybody that works a desk job, like, tell me that I'm wrong, because like that's exactly my experience, and especially after lunch. Oh, it's done.
Especially after lunch.
After I've eaten. No, just send me home, man. I'm taking a nap at my desk anyway.
Emmanuel Perez says, isn't this the problem with the industry games taking 10 years for one game? Then the studio getting fired when it doesn't make money. Yeah, I mean, that's a very big problem, especially for things like Bioshock is what they're talking about here. So, yeah, we'll see. I think that these big games do need to exist in order to continue everything going. But I also feel like there needs to be some level of sustainability that clearly is not happening right now. And so,
yeah, video games are just so expensive and big, and I think they've gotten a bit unwieldy. And so, yeah, like, I think so much hinges on the success, especially if you're making a big AAA gigantic ass video game. And yeah, I think there should be things to be being put in place to mitigate that, whether that is like workers unionizing or whether that is publishers or like, you know, the big corporations that oversee everything being like, all right, how do we manage these studios in a way where we're making the money that we're making as much money as we can, but also we are making the games that we know that we have the capability to make. That way we're not shutting down these studios when we don't see 10 million copies sold.
yeah.
And it's tough when like things are driven purely by capitalism, right? Like, I think that you don't even, as a big corporation, you don't even get to the point where you're asking that question because you're more caught up with, oh, the numbers need to go up.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think you need to put checks and balances in place. But the question then becomes, yeah, what are those checks and balances? And I think on the worker side, you want to protect yourself. You got to unionize. You got to, like, you know, make sure that you're putting yourself in that place of protection. But then, yeah, on the studio side, like, that's why I think you see inspiring stories like a Larian Studios or a Supergiant who are independent and like they get to grow naturally and put out those bangers, and it's like, damn, where'd y'all come from? But like, really, it's just been that they've been making games for a very long time and they've grown at a steady, healthy pace, and now they're putting out those fucking bangers. I feel like a lot of studios don't get that luxury when they're owned by like a big AAA publisher, and it is, all right, you worked on your single player thing, it didn't sell 10 million, now work on your live service thing. Oh man, that failed. All right, bye-bye. We're laying off half your studio.
Yep. We got one from Nightlife saying Steam Tech has no exclusives. Is it it's a console? I don't know what you're talking about.
I think they're going back to like when we say it's console or exclusive sell consoles, and they're saying that Steam Deck is a console, but it doesn't have exclusives.
Oh, Steam Deck. This says Steam Tech. I don't know why I couldn't figure out what that was.
Oh, you know what? I didn't even read it. I just listened to you say it, so I didn't process Steam Deck.
Steam Deck has no exclusives. It's a console. Yeah. But I mean, Steam Deck's not selling. Like, do we have Steam Deck sales numbers? Like, I remember seeing them at some point. It's like, it's not.
I mean,
much.
well, it's not. They're selling. It's not. Steam Deck isn't selling as much as a PlayStation 5.
Yeah,
for sure.
Or I don't even think it's selling as much as an Xbox.
No.
So, yeah, that's not a good example then. Madrock says, what shows by Dropout have you been watching, Bless?
Ooh. So this is one of the things I tweeted out during my sick leave that like I was watching a bunch of stuff. Dropout is one of them. And I watch Game Changers, which is incredible. And like,
so good.
Yeah, it is. I mean, the best game show
did
content.
You sign up for the
Yeah,
and it's worth it because like that's
dude,
one.
It's so worth it.
It's 1,000%
That's what I
worth
keep
it.
thinking about. Like I get ads for that all the time, and I'm like, oh, this looks good.
It's super worth it because especially like once you start watching like more of the shows that they have on the channel. It is all, I mean, it's like kind of funny, right? Where it's like repeated
Lore.
cast. Yeah, there's lore and there's repeated cast members. And so like I'll watch Iffy or like somebody on like one thing and I'll watch them on another thing. And I'm like, oh man, they're great here. I can't wait to see them on this show. And then I go to the other show and I'm like, yeah, they're fucking great here. Like I'm getting to the point where now I'm like, fuck, do I gotta watch D&D now? Like I might have to start watching like that's the one thing, honestly, the question is, what haven't I watched? And like, yeah, it is the D&D stuff because I'm not a D&D person, but I think I'm getting to the point where I might have to like dip my toes in. Because yeah, I love Game Changers. It's been like good inspiration too for Game Showdown for like, damn, I gotta like upgrade this shit. But yeah, watch that. I'm actually, of course, because like if he's the homie, and then also this is good. You always have good guests. Ooh, the show chat. What's the show on Dropout where they're drinking? Based on like they'll tell people secrets. Is it called Always? No, not Always Open. That's a Rooster Teeth thing. They'll like tell secrets, and if you can guess whose secret it is, like people take drinks or whatever. Dirty Laundry.
Oh, I haven't seen that one.
It's really good,
Yeah.
and it's great too because it is like the perfect. Hey, let's get in. Like there was a G4 episode where they had on Fiona and Gina and like a few other people, and like it allowed that group dynamic to shine so well because yeah, it is basically like a game of Have You Ever or Never Have I Ever or whatever. It's very entertaining to watch. So yeah, like if you're somebody who's like, I would say mainly looking for either game show content or D&D content, you should probably look into Dropout.
Yeah, Dropout is fantastic. Like I've been a fan of them forever from the College Humor days. Like this group and some variation of this group of people, and like you bring it up, like it's very similar to Kind of Funny. It is in the sense of there's just a ensemble cast of people that kind of come and go and can change over time, but like it's exciting to just watch. You become fans of the personalities, and then the content enhances those personalities so much that it's one of those beautiful things that, in my opinion, of like, I remember watching the College Humor 24-hour streams, and like there was the first time I ever heard of that, and it was like they would do it every year during finals week of college, and it was just like, here's the thing to distract you, and for 24 hours they would just be live and just hanging out, and it felt like such a crazy thing to be able to just hang out and talk to chat, and now it's our life every day.
Yeah,
you know, it's like really, really cool to see all that. But yeah, could not recommend Dropout higher to anybody. You can check them out on their YouTube channel. They have a couple episodes for free, but then everything else is behind a subscription, but the subscription is worth it. Couple more super chats here. CJ Splitson says, what are the odds on Ghost 2 at Tokyo Game Show?
Ooh. I would say not high, right? Like, I do wonder what PlayStation's bringing to Tokyo Game Show, but I feel like a Ghost 2 type of announcement would come from a PlayStation, the PlayStation Showcase would be the place, right? Either that or maybe a Jeff Keighley, like, Game Awards style thing, right? Like, I think PlayStation is looking for the biggest stage possible for a Ghost 2 announcement, or any, like, first-party announcement of that ilk, and I don't know if Tokyo Game Show is that for them, but it's been such a long time since PlayStation's been at Tokyo Game Show that I don't know how they view it anymore. Like, what are you going there to do?
Did you see the story yesterday?
Yes, but I've already forgotten.
So PlayStation's going to be at Tokyo Game Show, and they're going to have a booth. Like, they're showing up for it. So it's like, what does that mean in terms of announcements? It's a weird placement because Astro will have been out already, and that's the big title we know about. So there is the question of what are they going to show? Death Stranding 2 seems very likely, but besides that, Ghost 2, I think it's unlikely for Tokyo Game Show, but I don't think it's impossible, and I mainly think that just because it is Sucker Punch, and I think that Sucker Punch is going to want, and PlayStation and everyone involved there, they want a different narrative for the game, but at the same time, maybe doing Ghost 2, having it in Japan could make sense and could activate a potentially different audience for the game. I'm very interested in the breakdown of sales of Ghost, which now are, charting still because of the PC release between American and Japanese players. You know what I mean? Like, I wonder if Ghost was a big hit in Japan, and I wonder if maybe they want Ghost 2 to be a bigger hit there.
I would also maybe throw in, I know like Tokyo Game Show, Japan focus, but PlayStation has the China Hero Project, and then also I think India Hero Project, like where they will partner with games in specific countries to help like foster them and grow them and release them. I believe Stellar Blade might have been part of that, but like within China Hero Project, there's also, I believe, I forget if Lost Soul Aside is part of that or if that's a Korean one. But like you look through the list and it's games like Anno Mutationum, Fist Forged and Shadow Torch, This game Immortal Legacy, the Jade Cypher. I think both a lot of these have come out already. But then there's upcoming games. Yeah, Lost Soul Aside is a part of China Hero Project, and like Convaleria, and like these games that like not everybody knows about, but if you look into them, it's like, oh snap, these games are cool. Like Lost Soul Aside looks like it could be some Tim Geddes ass shit.
Yeah.
I think maybe those games could possibly show up, right? Like those are games that don't have the audience right now, but I think you want to do like the groundwork for, right? Like, you know, literally be on the show floor, be like, hey, check this out, play this. It's from an upcoming developer that maybe doesn't have a project yet, but we're working with it, we're publishing it. I think those might be good fits for a Tokyo Game Show.
Yeah, I'm really interested in this because the chat's I'm talking about the sales of Ghost in Japan, and people are saying it did really well, and like the numbers seem to be like over 1 million, which doesn't sound that much to me compared to some of the numbers we're talking about of like how much that game sold. But then CJ Splits on saying I think it's their biggest first party game in Japan. This is interesting, and I we should do some research into this, but I think an interesting Gamescast topic could be breaking down like what are the games that are hitting in Japan, like on specifically PlayStation, but like across everything, like just getting that data. Cause like, I wonder, are you surprised by that Ghost would be the highest selling if that information is correct?
No, I wouldn't be surprised by that out of like the PlayStation first party stuff. Cause I remember it so vaguely, but I do remember there being a conversation around Ghost of Tsushima and like it doing people like liking it a lot in Japan. Cause I think it was like part of like there was the conversation of, oh, should Insomniac be working on this game? Is it cultural appropriation? I think there was the other side of it of people being like, Sucker Punch, not Insomniac. But I think there was the other side of it, people being like, no, people like this. Like, this is actually like a good, faithful adaptation, and they traveled and did all this stuff. So like Ghost hitting isn't surprising, but I am surprised by like, did God of War not hit as much, or like did like some of these other games not hit as much?
I'm just interested, and I know that the Japanese game market is different and not necessarily console focused, but still just fascinating stuff.
I'm trying to see. Oh damn, we're 7 minutes past. I'm trying to see if I can find a good video of Lost Soul Aside. Have you seen this game?
I don't think so.
I'm gonna drop a thing in KF Control, Kevin, if you want to pull it up.
Garrett Redden says, "Don't worry, Blessing. Dimension 20 is easily the least needing to know D&D show that does D&D."
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah,
that's good to know. I just don't know like the rules. Yeah. Like I don't even know if I need to know the rules.
Well, I think you just jump in. Sage Ryan and Pixel Circus are launching a new 3-episode D&D series that's totally spy.
I saw
with
that.
Mika Burton, and I'm like, I think
cool.
I need to watch this because like they're going all in.
Hell yeah, Kevin, if you're able to fast forward to some gameplay. Wait, I want to get in some D&D content.
Oh, okay, yeah, it's one of these games.
Yeah, it's one of them ones.
Fuck yeah, dude.
But you look at it and it's like, oh, this just looks like a Final Fantasy,
modern Final Fantasy,
like,
Devil May Cry, Nier Automata type situation with the little turret dragon thing. Yeah.
But yeah, this is one that PlayStation is. I don't know if they're publishing it. They might be publishing it in like a Stellar Blade kind of way. But I know PlayStation's backing it, right? And I'm like, oh snap, yeah, I think this is one of those games that you tour around, right? Like you take to like the events where you're gonna have a booth or a show floor to get in people's hands.
Oh man, I'm just a sucker for wings like that. Cool stuff. Then we got the last super chat, Danger Daddy D saying, "Hey Bless, you see the Dragon Ball amusement park coming to Saudi Arabia? The trailer's on YouTube."
I did see that. They got to build that in more places. I don't know if I'm going to go to Saudi Arabia for it, but like if they built one in the States, I feel like that would be a hit.
Yeah.
I feel like there's enough. Dragon Ball is one of those IPs that like has that juice to where people will fly out for that. I dude, fucking like, I don't know, man. Go to Nintendo, license out some of that space. Be like, yo, I know you're building a fucking Donkey Kong thing here. Fuck all this shit. Put Goku in that bitch. Throw Goku in that bitch.
Time for You're Wrong here. Portland Kevin says, the quote from the Bioshock series that Blessing was trying to recite was, "There's always a lighthouse."
I know, I always fuck it up every single time. I always say it's always a tower, and every single time people correct me. I just like the tower better. I don't know.
And then actually final from Juan Martin saying, "Blessing, you're wrong. I don't get any real work done until after lunch."
Really? I feel like Juan, you're
He's
weird.
napping in the morning. He's napping after a big sleep, little sleep,
Juan,
lunch, then work.
Juan, what you got to do, just try it out for one day.
Mm-hmm.
Where like work real hard in the morning and then go to lunch and then sit down and just disassociate. Sit down at your desk and just like, just fucking go somewhere else. But like don't move physically. I'm talking about mentally. Just go somewhere else. It's gonna change your life.
I feel like I never thought about this, but most days isn't that your schedule because you're a Games Daily and maybe Gamescast?
Yeah, but this goes back even before. Yeah, because like before we made the schedule change, like I was doing like PS I Love You or Gamescast or whatever in the afternoon.
Tony says Pokemon lunch when?
Pokemon Eat is gonna happen in the next 5 years. Pokemon Eat for sure is gonna happen.
Put it on the board. Well, everybody, guess what? This was show number 1 of the day. We still have a couple more to go in various different places. If you stay right here on Twitch or switch over to the YouTube feed for this, you'll be able to watch our Gamescast where we talk about what games are 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1 on the Kind of Funny scale to us. And then after that, we are going to do the Deadpool in review rewatch that you can only watch live if you're a Kind of Funny member. So get hyped, get on that and watch us live, hang out with us, because after that, we're coming back to Twitch and YouTube where Greg and Mike are going to be doing a Once Human stream. So jam-packed day of a whole bunch of fun stuff. But this has been Kind of Funny Games Daily. Each and every weekday, we run you through all the video game news that you need to know about live. And we appreciate you all for hanging out, listening. Until next time, it's been our pleasure to serve you.